Alright, how's it going everyone? Welcome to Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. This is my full reaction of the first arc? Yeah, the first arc of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, the Hidden Inventory Arc. These reactions were recorded like months and months and months ago, earlier in the year in fact. But this is a compilation of all of that reaction. If you want to watch the timer-based version, links in the description below. If you want to watch the full uncut picture-in-picture version, they're on the Patreon. Also on the Patreon is going to be early access to the next couple of episodes. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy. That is trippy. I love this presentation already. Oh, is this Geto speaking? Oh! All the muted colors, some of these angles that they are doing. Yeah, we've seen him done that before. Oh! Lovely direction here. We kind of saw that before in the JJK movie, right? Really loving the direction already. There's a clear difference, that's for sure. Oh, that's the yeah, I know these characters. These are younger versions of themselves. Great presentation, man. Great character acting as well already in the beginning of the episode. Great framing, great shot compositions. May. Like I said, I don't remember most of their names, but I do remember their faces. Man, I'm really loving these shot compositions, man. And this camera work. Camera work, like I said. Ah, these angles, man, they're so well done. They're getting really ambitious with the camera work. Some of the compositing still looks a bit iffy, but way better than Season 1, that's for sure. Well, that's a fun and interesting shot. Like I said, man, great character acting. It's a lot bigger than it seems. Or is it infinite? Yep. Oh, we're getting mad Chainsaw Man vibes then. Oh, that's a really cool visual. It's a classic shot, right? But still though. She's gonna appear again from the right to the left. Yep. It's interesting to see like similar concepts being explored by various different stories, you know. Of course I'm comparing this to like Chainsaw Man, but still. Ah, so it's different. Yeah. It won't be able to keep up? Ah. Smart. Holy mother of animation! Oh. The goat! The goat! Oh. Opening. Premature death. So I'm already getting that we are going to be exploring the past. This is what I wanted. Geto and Gojo's past and seeing like how the two different sides. Now I do remember that apparently Geto kind of killed 100 or 1,000 people in one summer night or day. So it's not really looking good. Unless I'm misremembering JJK 0, but you might need his help. Second year. Right, of course, he was the one who likes to collect all of the curses. Hey! Whoa! She's wearing his glasses. Oh, that's cute. Whoa! They're flexing their animation here. Fascinating. That's so cool. Immediately they go stretching. Ah.
人でなくなりより工事の存在となる。じゃあいいじゃん。かっこいい。天元様曰く、その段階の存在には意志というものがないらしい。
The difference between Geto and Gojo.
最悪の場合、天元様が人類の敵となる可能性もある。
So many fascinating shots. Strands of DNA.
自組集団 Q はわかるけど。
Dude, the way both of these characters walk, and the animation as well. Oh, he's still fooled to this very day. Huh? You better cut. What was that? No. Of course. So many curses at his disposal, though. Great shot. I heard you're strong. Oh my god, it's pushing it away because it can't really hit him. A Zenin? Not anymore. What? Wait. Okay, Dio. Okay, Zeke. That episode flew by. Two fishes, one of them became black, the other one remained white. Gojo looking at the... Oh! Oh! Shoko's the doctor! She looks nothing like it. Man, age has changed you up, and alcohol, I guess. Jesus. I'm just looking at the list of characters from like season 1, not season 2, so I don't really avoid spoilers, but like, yeah. I'm looking at the cast for season 1. Yeah, so Shoko, Utahime, Mei, and pretty much everybody else, except for the girl that they were trying to save, were in season 1. So all right, it's just the character design. Some of them are like, oh yeah, of course, obviously, because the hair. But then other times I get Shoko and I'm like, I don't remember who you are. I don't remember your character design. Oh, of course, because it's completely different. But anyways, there you guys have it. JJK season 2 episode 1. I gotta say, first and foremost, incredible cinematic experience. This episode, probably from the little bits of memory that I can think of JJK Season 1 and the movie, I think this is probably the most beautiful the show has ever looked in terms of like cinematography, in terms of like the storyboarding, the shot compositions, like, and even like some of the more ambitious shots as well. Like I get it if it's like a I get it if it's a movie because, you know, the movie budget and all, but this is a TV production and I'm like, holy, they poured everything in episode 1 and I'm kind of scared for like the next couple of episodes because I really wish that they can keep this quality up. And if they are able to keep this quality up until like the future episodes for season 2, I am hooked and I am excited. I am hype. Here's the thing about season 1, right? I like season 1, but I felt like season 1 didn't really do much aside for me in terms of like beyond enjoyment and beyond entertainment. Like that was pretty much it. Like, sure, the best parts of season 1, in my opinion, were the episodes focusing on just pure fights. I mean, obviously, like the episodes where the two jujutsu schools are kind of like facing each other in a friendly match, quote unquote, like that provided a lot of fascinating and a lot of really cool animated moments. But to me, the biggest problem for JJK season 1 were that a lot of it were just not really. The composition wasn't good, in my opinion. The compositing, I mean, not the composition, the compositing. Like, a lot of the 2D and 3D elements on display sometimes are not fully timed well, sometimes they felt very disjointed, and sometimes they felt like they are out of place. Season 2, episode 1, immediately they're like, okay, that is our main problem in season 1. We are going to try and fix it, and we are going to be ambitious about it, and we are going to be making it just maybe a lot more. And I think they pretty much blew me away. Like, there's still moments where I'm like, could have been slightly better, but like it is far and beyond, in my opinion, at least from what I can remember, way better from like than season 1. So incredible animation already, incredible cinematography, the colors as well, and some of the character acting and character motion are just like really great. Like they're just really great. Like I'm geeking out. I'm like before I watched this episode, I'm like, okay, I'm hearing a lot of really great stuff from JJK season 2. Like I have my own expectations going in, like, okay, show me what you got. And then I watched this episode and I'm like, okay, I think I need to bump my expectations higher because holy, this was great. And speaking of like character acting and just great overall cinematography, like I just want to point out that I really love this part because they transition from like room to room, and while they are transitioning to like through the walls, like you can see the cables and the things that are inside of the wall, and then it just transitions out of the scene, and I'm like, but that's like a blink and you miss it, but they added it anyways. That's so cool. That's so cool. Now the setting for, I'm assuming the next couple of episodes and not the entire season, where we are going to be focusing on the past, is something that I've been really clamoring for. Like, I've been really wanting to see this, you know? Like, it's also kind of crazy because JJK season 1 ended with, like, Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara, and then after that we got a prequel, which is JJK 0, and then we got a prequel to the prequel, which is JJK season 2. I love it. I love it. Seeing all of these characters that we know interacting in their youth, it's both fun to see themselves in, you know, in their younger prime age, except for maybe Gojo, because, you know, Gojo's prime age is like every age, but like seeing all of these characters just interacting with each other and having a, you know, an obvious different, I would say a different personality, but that's due to, you know, the difference in characters, right? And then they had character development, and it's fun, but it's also sad at the same time because you have Geto over here, and we kind of know what's going to happen with Geto. You know, like we know that there's gonna be a big rift between them all, and pretty sure most of these characters have like certain scars, you know, battle scars and such when we saw them for the first time in season 1, and they haven't gotten that in here. So some crazy shit is going to happen, and we are going to be spending a lot of time with these characters. We're going to be spending episodes with them. We're going to be sympathizing and empathizing, and we are going to fall in love with these characters. And then the show is going to rip that apart from us. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. Now, speaking a bit about the opening scenes, I would say, about this episode, which really sets like the mood of, I would say, like the rest of this arc, I suppose, because it's really dark, somber. I think we've also seen like some bits that we kind of already seen before, and just kind of juxtaposing that with like the rest of the episode, where a lot of it is like banter, typical JJK stuff basically, but it really sets the mood on like the serious stuff that will come, and you need, as an audience, like you need to remember that at the end of the day, yeah, things are gonna get bad. Now that Geto is in the conversation of discussion, I can finally talk about this, because JJK 0, okay, because this is technically the first time that I'm ever going to be talking about JJK officially on the channel. You know, like this is my first video on Jujutsu Kaisen, but JJK 0, right? Pretty sure Gojo killed Geto by the end of the film, and yet Geto is still alive in season 1. But there is a difference. Geto in season 1 had a lot of like scars or wounds or whatever, like healing patches, whatever you want to call them, like stitches, surgery stitches, and whatever. And there's a couple of theories, right, that can lend to that. The first one is that Gojo never really killed Geto, but I feel like knowing what seems to be this really, really strong animosity and rivalry between the two, and again, the fact that, if memory serves me right, they kind of talked about Geto kind of killing hundreds of people. But anyways, if Gojo did end up killing Geto in JJK 0, then how does it explain Geto being alive in season 1? Well, my current theory is that, what if Geto is similar to Itadori? As in, there is a curse that is keeping him alive. You know, like there's a different curse, or someone who's or a curse that is possessing his body. You know, like in a similar fashion that Sukuna is. Well, the difference is that Sukuna and Yuji are kind of in a symbiotic relationship, like they control the same body, right? Like Yuji is still alive, Yuji is still Yuji, and Sukuna is still Sukuna. It's just that they share the same body. What if the Geto that we have been watching in season 1 isn't really the Geto that we are seeing right now, but instead it's like a curse? Like, what if that is like something else that is just so happened to be possessing Geto and his body? You know, like that is my primary theory right now, because like I think that's the only thing that makes sense given the world of JJK, unless there are certain rule sets that I may have forgotten, which, I'm gonna be honest here, gonna be real here. The rule sets of JJK, I'm not really well versed in it. I don't remember much, gonna be honest here. All I remember is Veil and Black Flash and cool visuals go boom, boom, boom. Again, like I said, season 1 never really struck me as a show that requires my full attention. I mean, I should. I mean, every show requires your full attention, but more so that season 1 felt like more of a show that I can just sit back and relax and not really think much. Kind of regretting that now, because I feel like I should be rewatching season 1 and just, take notes in what is happening. So help me out here if I am missing anything at all. But that's my primary theory in like Geto and whatever. But in regards to Geto himself as a character, I never really liked him in JJK Zero, or at least the portrayal of him in Zero, and I've been wishing that I had more context so that I can care more about his character. Because, gonna be blunt, his character in JJK Zero felt more of a, hey, I'm a villain, I hate the world, I'm going to destroy the world and change it anew, and then that's pretty much it. Like, not much nuance, and I want the nuance. I think I'm getting the nuance, and I am so ready for it. Speaking of JJK Zero, this particular moment during this flashback seems interesting because this is clearly Geto, and there's like two other persons walking behind him. Visuals indicate that these are girls. I am going to wager that these are the two girls that we saw in the movie. I don't think we saw them in season 1, but I do remember two girls in the movie that that acted kind of like very close siblings, sisters, or best friends. Like they're like the girls who, you know, kept looking at social media and not really caring about the rest of the world. Like I vividly remember Geto making this speech about like the world is impure and imperfect, and then one of the girls are like, Geto, like look, there's a concert or whatever. Paraphrasing, but still though, I think these are the two characters, and the scene after this is what intrigued me the most. I am 99.9% sure that we have seen this before in the JJK Zero movie. I'm so glad that I kind of rewatched that movie like a couple of weeks ago, because I remember that there was a flashback. I think it was Gojo who was kind of like remembering things, and it is a shot of Gojo and Geto just side by side, and a lot of people just walking beside them, and I think this is it. And you know, this rivalry, or I guess currently friendship of Geto and Gojo, I'm curious to know like where these two characters are going to be standing, morally speaking, in regards to like their character development at the end. Because obviously these two, they're gonna be, you know, they're gonna go their separate ways, they're gonna go and follow their own morals and values. But I'm more so talking about like whether or not are we seeing a two sides of the same coin, or just two different coins. Like, are we witnessing two characters with similar goals but just different objectives, or not different objectives, but the different ways to get to the objective, right? As in two sides of the same coin, right? They are the same, they want the same thing, but it's just that the way they approach it vastly different. Or are they just actually two coins, as in one cannot be the same as the other, and therefore there is a clash? Because from the way they characterize both of these characters, Gojo felt more as the, yeah, I don't care. You know, he is the character of like, I'm just here to have fun. I'm just here to, you know, just to hang out and not really care about, you know, saving the world and whatever. Like, if you tell me to save the world, then I'll save the world, but I don't really care. You know, like, I'm not gonna do it instinctively, you know? Like, he's giving me that vibe in this episode, and the polar opposite can be said about Geto, and that is the crazy part. Geto felt like he is the more quote-unquote morally right, you know, like he's talking about like, you know, we are Jujutsu sorcerers, our role is to protect the weak who does not have sorcery. And it feels like whatever happens to the both of them at the end of their friendship, Geto is going to go on the extremist route of like, he is sticking to his morals, to his values, but he is approaching it in the most extreme way possible, and we kind of saw that in JJK Zero. Whereas Gojo is going to learn a different lesson. He's going to actually grow as a character, and instead of having these sorts of feelings of, you know, neglect and you know, uncare, he's going to try to be a lot more understanding for other people. Having said that, his personality has not changed in season 1. In fact, I think he just got a lot more egotistical in terms of like, yeah, I'm overpowered. What are you gonna do about it? But it's more so that, yeah, he may be a bit cocky, but at the same time, still though, a good heart. Now, currently, I believe that this girl holds the key to understanding why Geto and Gojo kind of fell off. The star plasma vessel, as they call her. Now, I'm just going to go off on the basis of the typical structure of these types of stories. Again, could be wrong, could go to a very different, direction, but usually when two characters that we know are gonna go face to face against each other and they're currently friends and then they are told to do this one thing, usually that one thing is going to be the thing that changes both of these characters into doing various different things. Currently, they are assigned to kill the girl, right? That is the main objective currently. Get the girl, escort her, and then kill her off so that we can use the star plasma curse, whatever it is that is in her, because she is just a vessel, at least that is from my own understanding, right? Now, I know Gojo, or at least the version that I know of Gojo, which is the Gojo in the future. The Gojo that just so happens to save not one, but two main characters, Yuji and Yuta, right? Both of these characters are characters that are either possessed by a curse or have a curse follow them around like a yandere. Gojo took on the task and said, no, I am not going to kill you. I'm not going to execute you. In fact, I'm going to do the complete opposite, and that is I am going to train you. I am going to use you. You are going to be a tool for me. In exchange, you are going to be alive. That is the Gojo that I know. The Gojo that I know will see somebody that is in need of help and he helps them in his Gojo way of helping. Meanwhile, Geto is a character who, from what I have seen, have been doing a lot of collecting items or collecting curses, right? He's collecting and assembling a curse army that he uses in JJK 0. How did he get all of those curse army? I don't know. At least, I don't know yet. So here's a thought. Geto will want her to be killed, and he's not going to kill her because of orders from the top, from Tengen-sama. No, he's going to do it because he wants to take whatever it is that is inside of her to use for his own gains and his own objective, his own personal gains. And then Gojo is going to be the one who says, no, maybe let's not kill her. Gojo is going to form a bond with this character. He may fall in love with this character. He may, fall in love may be a stretch for now, but like he will have feelings for this character, right? This character will be the emotional anchor point throughout the rest of this arc, or at least that is what I think they're gonna go with this character and the structure of this, because we know, we know what's going to happen in the future. We just don't know how we got there in the future, right? So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but either way, really exciting stuff. All right, last but not least, who is this? Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Oh, I'm not a Zenin anymore, but I'm a Fujiguro now. Excuse me. Ooh. Ooh. Who is he? And why does he look like that? Why does he have that drip on him? Like, jeez. But yeah, we got a new character who used to be a part of the Zenin clan, but then changed and took his wife's name and became a Fujiguro. We know one other Fujiguro, and his name starts with Megumi. And we also know that, at least from my recollection, that Megumi has some descendants of the Zenin clan as well. So if memory serves me right, who is he to Fujiguro? To Megumi, I mean. Who is he? Relative? Brother? Father? Uncle? I don't know. I don't think uncle. I think it's either father or brother, but either way though, this character intrigues me. He intrigues me. maybe more so than Geto and Gojo right now, because he feels like trouble. He is what I would describe as the outside force, right? He is the force in the narrative that is coming from the outside, that is not part of the internal conflict. I will describe the Gojo and Geto dynamic as the internal conflict, right? That is the internal conflict within Jujutsu High, right? Within our vicinity. And then suddenly this dude coming from the outside, from the external, probably going to wreak havoc, probably going to change the entire game. I will bet. Actually, you know what? He might actually be the one that changes Geto. He might actually spur some nonsense shit, and Geto is gonna listen to him, and it's going to be feeding in his mind, and then Geto's gonna go, maybe he has a point, maybe he's right, you know, maybe the world is cruel, you know? I don't know. I don't know. How come we've never seen him again? How come we've never seen him in season 1? I don't remember Megumi talking about his family. At least I actually don't remember. So let me know if he actually talked about his family before. I would love to know. But I am very much looking forward to seeing this particular character and his dynamic throughout the entire show, because this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting more Geto, Gojo, two main characters conflicting against each other, but I was not expecting somebody else to be in the picture, and somebody who probably, you know, will put up a fair fight against them. At least current state Gojo. I don't know how strong Gojo is currently. I do know that he's going to be very overpowered by the end of, you know, by the start of season 1. But anyways, that is pretty much it for my reaction, my review, my discussion, my thoughts, and my opinions of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 1. What a fantastic start, in my opinion. Like, I had expectations. Those expectations were exceeded and shattered, and I cannot wait to see more. I am hoping that future episodes will live up to this incredible start and maybe surpass it in terms of like both quality in animation, in production, in cinematography, in character acting, like all of the above. But hearing from, you know, like, I gotta address like the elephant in the room. Like, it honestly sucks, right? It sucks to watch a show that is this good, at least this first episode, and praising it all, while also knowing that the people behind who is creating this episode are probably struggling as hell right now because of the terrible working conditions over there at the studio. So it's like, I really want to praise this, but at the same time, if I'm praising this, does that mean that it allows for the executives to like, hey, they like the episode regardless of the working conditions, so let's just continue it? Like, that's like the one thing that I don't want to do. But I gotta give praise, because despite it all, they managed to put out an incredible episode, and I cannot wait to see what else that they have in store. Oh, somebody's being tortured. Oh God. Gojo's like, yeah. Oh, there's music though. Oh, is this the guy? Fushiguro? Yeah. Man, I cannot describe it. I might probably in the discussion, but this feels very cinematic. It's probably the choice of music and the setting as well. Ah. Come on. Who is he to you? God damn it. So obviously he knows, but it's a matter of like neglect I will say this because I didn't really talk about it in the start of the episode, but I really love the beginning of the episode where we just see Geto just, pouring tea. I like that touch. And I'm also wondering, because we saw those two characters, right? The one who is a vessel, but then there's another character who kind of looks like her maid. Somebody who is looking out for her.
反転術式を使えたらよかったんだけどね。いや、無理でしょ。起きた。
Ooh, interesting shot with her reflection on his glass. Oh, she's feisty.
リコちゃん落ち着いて。
Rico. Kuroi.
これは前髪の方の術式です。
その言い方やめてもらえます？
Interesting that Geto is the one who is more friendly to her. To them, I would say.
魂は同化後も生き続け。
待ち受け変えた？井上和歌。
Hey, fucking ignored. I think I recognize her voice actress. Could be mistaken though.
友人、家族、大切な人たちとはもう会えなくなるんだ。サトル、急いでリコちゃんのところへ。
Oh?
2体払われた。
Oh shit. Time's a ticking.
これで賞金に釣られるのがバカからまともなバカになる。いいのか？何が？
Man, the atmosphere. Whoa, whoa. Reflections can be really hard to do, but that was cool.
うん百年ぶりの陸眼と無加減呪術の抱き合わせ。あいつが近くにいる限り、聖将隊はまず殺せない。お前もか？
Not even you? And then the one that he bet on wins?
さあ、どうかな。
Uh-oh.
ちょっと待て。
Oh, dude, you do not want to. Yeah. A stare is all he needs. He just lost. Oh man, the imagery though. Really interesting stuff.
おお、その制服は近接戦闘が苦手。そして式神使いであるわしが近づいてくることはまずないと考えておる。近接嫌いが近接を警戒していない。やりやすい。
I like the way the fight exposition is being presented. Oh, he got moves. What the fuck? Bro, what is this trickery?
弟にばかり金と時間を使い。
What is happening? Whose powers is this?
久しぶりだな。
Great choice of music as well.
そうか。
He realizes. Oh my god! Bro,
そんなことよりあんた、9？万世鏡？
the fact that that was not magic, that was just simply his life flashing before his eyes was so sick. I love that. Love how the soundtrack became from non-diegetic to actually diegetic. Oh, you do not want to see. That was very shoujo or.
ああ、いや、緊急なもんですみませんね。
あとこれ。
Hey, yo, teacher. How old is Gojo?
賑やかな学校だな。
Nice.
主任のは同業か、ボディーガードってこともあるか。美味しいよな。
Who the fuck?
万世教の人でしょうか。
Oh shit. Come on, let's see it. Nicely played.
式神。
いや、式神とは少し違う。なるほどね。
2、3、4人。
Yeah, they're just
学校じゃ。
images, right? And that's the one that came from the school. Bro? The animation is great, by the way. And each one is the real one. Interesting. Yeah. It's so overpowered, man. Like, you can't even touch him. Ah, okay. So we could just get rid of all of them until there's only one left. I love the way that they're using the glasses as like, I love that. It's aesthetically pleasing instead of just actually just showing it. Oh, I was holding my breath. What do you mean you failed? Can't tell if that's on purpose or not. Okay, he actually failed. Interesting. It makes sense though, he's still developing his skills. I love this.
どうしよう。黒いが。黒いが。
Wait, what? Well, that can't be right. Kuroi was with Geto. So what happened? Something's not wrong. Something's not right here. Okay, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 2. And I gotta say, this episode kinda... It really shows you, like, how well the production is for this season. Like, I just can't get over, like, just the color palette, the cinematography, and just overall how this episode was directed. Like, there's a lot of really calm moments in this episode, and there's also a lot of really action-packed moments as well. A lot of levity, a lot of fun moments, and a lot of serious moments. Like, there's a lot going on in this episode, and I just love how each individual scenes are directed in this episode. I am really loving the direction so far. It's been really well done. It's been really great. You know, at the start of the episode, I talked about like how I was really enjoying the scene of Geto just making tea as his opponent is being tortured by one of his curses. You know, after watching Chainsaw Man about a year ago, I kind of realized that the thing that I've been wanting the most is just seeing anime characters doing normal stuff in the midst of something that is far more serious and action heavy. And I'm not talking about like an actual slice of life show. I'm talking about like shonen action packed shows that also have a focus on slice of life stuff, especially when it comes to like the direction of those scenes. Like there's almost an eeriness to it, you know, like there is this juxtaposition of like Geto doing this really mundane thing while something that is really, really fucked up happening in the back. It also shows off like Geto's own personality in that he knows that he won, so he's just going to do something that is like completely normal, you know, like he's gonna be doing whatever, he's just gonna be drinking and whatnot, you know, like he doesn't really care that much because he already won the fight. Like he's very relaxed after he knows that he won the battle, you know, and it's like a bit of an opposite to Gojo, who is always relaxed when he is in battle because it's not like everybody's going to hurt him, you know, like everybody can't. Physically, they can't even touch him. So Gojo has this like very relaxed but also cocky personality when it comes to him fighting other people. And then we have this scene, which kind of continues on as Fujiguro is in this kind of ramen shop, or I guess this restaurant, if you will. But I really love this scene. I really do. I mentioned this during the reaction, but there is this serious and dramatic feel and vibe to the scene of just these two characters, you know, sitting, and as one of them is, you know, betting on this race. And of course, the conversation about the fact that Fujiguro kind of spent all of his money on this betting on this race, and then the guy's like, hey man, when are you gonna do your job? And that's like one of the things that I do want to talk about Fujiguro, right? I don't think I haven't heard his actual name yet, aside from the fact that he is a Fujiguro now, but he's just doing his job. You know what I mean? Like, this is an assassin, right? A sorcerer killer, you know? It's not like he is like Geto in JJK 0 or in season 1 where he's like assembling an army, you know, to rule the world and whatnot. But he is just a hired gunman, right? And that's something that we need to, I guess, remember about him, because it's not that he is necessarily the villain or an antagonist. He is just an obstacle that is here. I mentioned this during the first episode. He is an external force that comes out of nowhere and is going to wreak havoc on the internal conflict, which is the thing about Geto and Gojo, right? But now we have full confirmation that he is related to Megumi. In the previous episode, we only know that he is a Fujiguro now, and we can make the connection of like, oh, he's a Fujiguro. We only know one other Fujiguro, but we never really know his full. We don't. The show never really fully, you know, make the connection, right? We only know him through the last name, but now we do know, right? He talks about, hey, how's Megumi doing? Now, with that in mind, and given the time frame of like where we are currently, which is in the past, and I'm assuming that Fujiguro here is, you know, like a lot older than he seems, right? Definitely a lot older than Gojo and Geto right now, who is like, what, 17 years old, 18 years old, you know, still in their teenage years. I think it's fair to assume that Fujiguro here is the father of Megumi, right? I mean, we know he is a married man, so all hints kind of points towards Megumi. Again, like I haven't actually rewatched season 1 or watched a recap of it, so my memory of season 1 is kind of, you know, kind of all over the place, kind of fainty. You know, I mentioned, you know, that I don't remember ever being a conversation in regards to Megumi and his family, but if there is, then that's probably information that I kind of missed, that I kind of forgot about. But still, though, Fujiguro is a really interesting character, and I am curious to know where he is right now in the present. You know, like what happened to him? Where is he now? Like, that's like the other thing that I do want to know. And you know, speaking of Fujiguro, you know, like there is something about him, you know, like this episode kind of showcases that he is a person who is willing to bet on anything, even if he loses, because we see him bet on multiple different races now in this episode, and he lost all of them. like he didn't win a single thing, you know. But it kind of goes to show like he doesn't really care, you know, like he's unfazed. He's like, yeah, I lost. Oh well, on to the next. You know, like there is a personality there, you know. You can kind of get a hint of his character, you know, somebody who doesn't really care, somebody who it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter to him. And this type of character is dangerous, you know. Like I can say that he doesn't learn from his mistakes, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's more so he knows he can't win, but he's gonna do it anyways, you know? And it's this mentality, this mindset of never knowing when to give up, that is going to be the problem here. Now let's talk a bit about Riko, shall we? I just saw that her VA isn't actually who I think it is. It's somebody else. It's actually Ushio from Summertime Rendering. But Riko is a fascinating character, to say the least. This is our objective, if you will. You know, like this is the person that we need to, you know, quote unquote sacrifice and let the vessel be used by Tengen-sama or whatever. So far, her character isn't that entirely unique or interesting for me, but I do kind of recognize that her role in this is for the development of Geto and Gojo. You know, I'm still sticking to my original idea and theory in the first episode on like what she will mean to both of those characters, especially the lengths that these two characters are willing to do in order to protect her for the time being. I mean, you even got this classic shot of like the dude looking at like the girl, and then you see their reflections, and you know, like this is a very classic shot, right? But it's more so the stance and the demeanor of Geto towards Riko that surprised me a bit, at least in the first half of this episode. Though, thinking about it, I shouldn't be surprised considering Geto's character, that, the character that we saw in the first episode. Because Geto is he is the one with the more moral standing, as opposed to Gojo, who, like I mentioned before, the one who is more, careless, if you will. And by the second half of the episode, we kind of flip that around, because now Gojo is the one that is stuck with Riko. Like this is the part where we can develop their dynamic a lot more. This was a really fun fight, in my opinion. I like the direction and the stylization of this exposition, because being a shonen, obviously there's going to be times where when two characters are about to face each other, one of them is going to, break the scene down, like talking about like, okay, I'm going to analyze this character who is right in front of me, who I'm going to be fighting, like his stance. Oh, he's so powerful. What is this move? And such, like overly analytical about like all of these things. Sometimes I don't like these moments because they can, in my opinion, they can ruin the flow of the scene. But here, it's done in a really tasteful manner in terms of like, again, like the direction, the stylization, the use of these like almost similar to manga panels, but they're just, like different perspectives. Because again, like this is a character who is like analyzing the other character. So it makes sense that the show kind of showcases like the different perspectives of Geto. And I thought it was rather engaging, in my opinion. The fight itself was like really well done, but it's also like really quick. And I absolutely love this moment. This moment threw me on a loop. Like, what is happening here? Like, what sorcery is this? Nope, this is just an actual near-death experience. Like, this dude literally had a near-death experience. His life actually flashed before his eyes. Like this, there is no trickery here. There is no magic here. Nope. This is an actual human experience that he is just currently going through. And I love that debate because I genuinely thought that this is like some form of sorcery, but no, it's not. And then we cut back to like the actual fight, and then he of course gets his ass kicked. So that was really cool. That was really fun. We saw a little bit of how Kuroi can handle things, and my god, she can handle things really well, like she's just using her mop and come on, that's badass. That's cool. I love that. And I like how by the end of the episode, we see Gojo kind of, using his signature moves and such, the ones that we saw in season 1. And we know how powerful these moves are in season 1. But I love how he fails in this moment because he hasn't mastered it yet. He's still a prodigy, right? He's still a student. He's still learning about these movesets. He's still learning and figuring things out. Sure, I guess he already mastered the fact that he is overpowered and nobody can actually hit him, but his actual, attacks, that is something that he is still figuring things out, and I love that detail. It leaves room for improvement and growth in the future, in future episodes, because this will mean that one day, if we are still, in this time frame in the past, we can actually potentially get to see Gojo actually mastering this moveset for the first time, and it's going to be, in a way, climactic and also satisfying, to say the least, because it's like, yes, he's finally able to do it, so looking forward to if that event may happen, because it can, like structurally speaking, it's kind of being set up of like, yeah, he can't do it now, but he's able to go, he's obviously going to do it later in the future, right? But this ending is puzzling. It's puzzling and it's very suspicious, because what happened here? Suddenly Kuroi is kidnapped? Something's not right here. Something's wrong. This doesn't add up at all, does it? Last time we saw Kuroi was with Geto, so what happened to Geto? Like that's like the main thing, right? If Kuroi got kidnapped, then where was Geto? What was he doing? Something's not right here. I mean, we saw how powerful Geto is and how he can handle things. So the thought of Kuroi suddenly getting kidnapped and Geto can't do anything about it, I don't know. It feels weird unless it's Fushiguro. I think that's like the only explanation that I can think of right now. It's that Fujiguro actually came in, defeated Geto, kidnapped Kuroi, because Kuroi is somebody who is the closest to Riko, and this also sets up like a conversation or a interaction between Geto and Fujiguro as well, right? So I think that is probably what's happening here. Alright, that's pretty much it for my reaction and my review of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 2. A really fantastic episode. I will say again, like I mentioned before, like this episode kind of flows nicely within, from the previous episode, also still maintaining that quality animation and that quality production. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying the direction of Season 2, probably way more than Season 1 now that I'm thinking about it. Like, I like Season 1 of JJK, but there's something about the direction in Season 2 that made me, that is making me fall in love with this presentation, because this is really something. It's really something, that's for sure. Interesting, Riko in her powers, her state of mind. They split. That is typically how it goes. Interesting shot here, having their faces blocked. That's why their faces are blocked. Mistrust. Determination in their eyes. Oh, I love it. Was what was that? What was that? We're not gonna talk about that. Kuroi's just there. The show. All right. Unexpected beach episode. A non-sorcerer. I love how we just glance over, like, okay, here we go. Man, they made it such a big deal by the end of the last episode. He definitely does have good eyes, yes. Whoa! Okay, that's cool. And scary at the same time. Oh? Oh! Who is this? Nanamido, that look does not fit you, dude. I'm glad that he changes his full design as he gets older. Might be a big mistake, though. Oh. The calm before the storm. Oh, beautiful. Lovely. Though you can't help but feel anxious, right? Because obviously certain characters we know will be alive in the future, but other characters, especially Riko. Oh, beautiful. I mean, either way, she is getting assimilated, but... Oh, yeah. The ocean and fishes has been kind of a motif for her. Especially the imagery before this, where she's just in the bathtub. You know what I mean? Like... Oh, that was a lovely sequence. Holy shit, the minute he lowered his guard. Who is this dude? Doesn't even remember. Megumi. Whoa. And this music, though. He's using his power, even at such a young age. And it worked. It worked. I forgot if Gojo's infinity or near infinity was, you know, something that is always active, or well, obviously not in this case.
誰に言ってんだよ。
Woo!
天内の懸賞金はもう取り下げられたぞ、間抜け。
俺が取り下げたんだよ、痩せ我慢。
Oh.
懸賞金の時間制限がなければ、お前は最後まで術式解かなかったと思うぜ。
Wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's get a fight. Like an actual real fight.
重力が全くない。天与呪縛の
Oh.
フィジカルギフテッド。
Oh, yeah. Oh, those frames, though. Ooh. Oh, you see that smile? Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, we're so back.
重力がないから気配も読めない。
Ah.
それにしても早すぎんだろ。
Oh.
術式順天。
Oh, wow. That was... Oh, that was impressive work of animation there.
森に隠れたか。
Oh, it keeps going.
これじゃあいつの位置がわからん。
Alright, now his barrier is up, right?
危ない。
The fact that I am gasping even though I know that Gojo's gonna be fine.
だがようやく
Holy shit, he broke
術
through
式
the...
頼りの守りに回ったな。
That's twice. That is twice now. How the fuck is Gojo alive? Oh man. I cannot stress this enough. The animation work on display here is impeccable.
その効果、発動中の術式強制解除。
Ah.
勘が戻ったかな。
Oh, you're getting your edge now. So you haven't... Everything beforehand was not your edge. Gojo. Hello? Wake up. You're not supposed to be dead. Gojo, you're not supposed to be dead. You're the... That is not how the plot works. You're not supposed to be dead, Gojo.
これからもずっと私も大好きです。
This is also not a good sign.
構成具本殿。
Whoa, oh, this is a set piece right here.
それか引き返して黒井さんと一緒に家に帰ろう。
Ah, giving her a choice, huh?
それだけ罪の意識を持てということだ。
Yeah.
うちの担任は脳筋のくせによく回りくどいことをする。
This is a moral dilemma.
君と会う前に悟との話し合いは済んでる。
Oh, did you now?
戦うことになるかもしれないよ。ビビってんな。
Tengen-sama has been a mystery to me. I don't remember him, and I don't think he's ever been mentioned in season 1 unless that is something that did happen and I forgot about it.
お母さんとお父さんがいなくなった時のことは覚えてない。
Ah, car crash.
帰ろう。リコちゃん。
Oh!
リコちゃん。
はい、お疲れ。解散、解散。五条悟は俺が殺した。
そうか。死ね。
僕の善意が
Oh boy. Let's talk about reverse curse techniques because that's definitely something that I remembered when I was watching this episode. I didn't remember that. Full disclosure, this recording was recorded like a day after I finished watching the show. If you, I kind of reviewed it immediately after I finished watching the episode, but it was a lot of just pure rambling and rubbish, if I'm being honest. So I'm just redoing the entire review. Plus, I do think that this is probably the perfect time to, dive actually deeper into Jujutsu Kaisen lore and Jujutsu Kaisen storytelling, because hey, if you haven't seen the first season in years, chances are you're probably going to be forgetting a thing or two. So reverse curse techniques, obviously that is a technique that has been used to revive our main character Yuji Itadori in the first season. I can't believe I forget that. Wow. Okay, so apparently my past self has a severe case of the Mandela effect, because I'm currently editing the video right now, like the full compilation reaction video that you're watching right now on YouTube. This discussion portion has been edited a long time ago, but while I was editing the video, I'm listening to this portion and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I'm saying this because I thought Shoko was the one who revived Yuji in season 1, when obviously that is not the case at all. It was Sukuna who revived Yuji in season 1, right? Because of the pact and whatever. So, yeah. Mandela effect. Honestly, I thought that Shoko was the one who revived Yuji, and I guess it was a combination of thinking about that and the fact that in the previous episode in this season, right, in the previous episode before this, they were already discussing about like reverse curse technique that Shoko has. So when I say that is a technique that has been used to revive our main character Yuji Itadori, I was referring to Shoko reviving Yuji and not Sukuna, when obviously it's the other way around. Though having said that, now knowing that Sukuna does have reverse curse techniques and he does revive Yuji using reverse curse technique. Heck, even the part where he regrows his arm and whatever. So I'm not really wrong, but my line of thinking is wrong. Like I arrive at the correct at the correct response, at like the right answer, and like I guess the right path of discussion in talking about like reverse curse techniques, but my assumptions are wrong. It's weird. I don't know how else to describe it. I just want to put it out there. I just want to put this little asterisk on what I'm about to say. Yeah. Pooh. So that is something that can almost obviously will happen to Gojo in regards to how he is going to survive. The question is, who is going to use that technique? Now, obviously, we know Shoko is one of the sorcerers who can use that technique, but what about Gojo himself? Like, can he actually do it? Because that is something that I don't actually know. Like, I don't remember that at all. Because it begs the question, if this sort of ability is well known throughout the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, then wouldn't Fushiguro Sr. try a different way or a different manner? I don't know. Speaking of Fushiguro Sr., he has no cursed energy at all. It's 0, as Gojo describes in this episode. Kinda runs in the blood of the Zenin clan, not gonna lie. The Zenin clan, what's going on with you guys? Hello? Obviously, this is pretty much similar to Maki's situation, right? Because she barely has any powers at all, right? She had to use a pact, and she, of course, she has to use glasses to look and such, right? Very different from her sister. But yeah, because Fushiguro Sr. is also a Zenin, right? He is a Zenin. He married into somebody who is a Fujiguro, Megumi's mother, and then he took her last name, right? So that's definitely something, you know, like that's definitely something to keep an eye out, because we might be witnessing a clan of sorcerers that are maybe on the decline in terms of like their, I guess, affinity to curse energy or whatever. Like I mean I don't know the exact term for it, but I mean, if you look at like Maki, and now you look at if you know, Fujiguro Senior here, it's definitely not a coincidence that both of these characters are, you know, they both originate from the Zenin clan, and also the fact that their pact also, you know, spews out weapons. So yeah. But you know, might as well keep continuing our talk of Fujiguro Senior here. This dude, holy shit. I mean, we have an indication, we have reasons to believe of how like strong he is. Like we can kind of think about it during the first 2 episodes. Like, yeah, I mean, look at his physique. Look at how intimidating he is. I mean, the voice actor himself. But it's when we actually see him going at it, and it's one of those really fantastic lines of when he said, "Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm just loosening up. I'm just warming up." You know, it's like this isn't even his. This is not him at his peak. This is him still training, if you will. He's still warming up. He's still like 50% of his power. And he's going up against Gojo, right? And now, of course, we also need to understand, and we also need to remember, right, that Gojo, currently speaking, is still a student. This is still a prodigy. Yes, he is super strong. I mean, heck, this episode just kind of demonstrates like how powerful Gojo is back then, right? I mean, we know how overpowered he is in the present, but still, though, you do need to remember that, you know, like Gojo is still a student. He's still like what, 17, 18 years old at this point, going up against somebody who is much more older, much more mature, you know, like Fujiguro Senior. I mean, he's already a father, right? I mean, like, let's not beat around the bush, you know, like we pretty much know that Megumi at this point is Fujiguro Senior's like father, you know, like why else would they hint at it? But it's the fact that it's the how do I describe it? It's when you know that a character is strong in the present, but then you see them getting beaten up in the past, and you would think to yourself, wow, you know, like the obvious struggle that this character must have gone through to reach the point that he is right now in the present, where he is so strong that almost nothing can pierce him, right? But just to see him in his most vulnerable in the past, that is just what makes this entire, I guess, prequel arc, this entire flashback of Gojo's past, just a lot of fun for me to watch, because it's just like seeing into or peering into history that we as the audience have never known. Like, let's imagine if we, the audience, are Itadori Yuji right now, right? We are the student, we are the next generation. We see Gojo as this, like, you know, our master, our sensei, you know, somebody who we look up to, somebody who we know, like, wow, that's an overpowered mother effer right there. But it's when you actually see them as a person and not just a caricature, if you will, because that's one thing that I will say about Gojo in season 1 of JJK. As much as I love his presence, I cannot deny that I do feel like Gojo was sort of filling in the role of the overpowered master, and obviously his character has not been fully developed at that point, right? We have no idea who he is apart from, hey, he's good looking, he's powerful, and he's here to show off. In terms of rules of cool, he's done a fantastic job at that, right? Rule of cool, that's Gojo, he is him. But in terms of character, we still have no idea who he is. I would argue a lot of the other characters in season 1 of JJK, like Yuji and Nobara and Megumi, they had better character dynamics and character developments, right? But now that we are finally seeing it, it makes our worldview change a lot. Because now you see this indestructible character being absolutely destroyed in this episode. And brutally, I may add. I mean, how many hits did Fujiguro Sr. just landed on Gojo? Like, an insane amount. And not just in the body and his legs and his arms. No. The first thing he did was landing a hit on his neck, right? And then I think at the very end of their fight, he actually hit Gojo in the head. And it's moments like these that grounds JJK into a more unsafe territory. What I'm trying to say is, for once, we see the most overpowered character being beaten, defeated, bloodied, broken. If this could happen in the past, it can happen again in the future, right? We're still dealing with Fujiguro Sr. here, right? And he is a powerful adversary, I may say, throughout this entire time. I mean, we don't know what happens to him later on, because we haven't seen him at all throughout season 1, so who knows of his current fate? You know, like, he could be alive, he could actually be dead. Probably alive, but, you know, wounded or something like that. But it's the fact that we are only dealing with Fujiguro Sr. We're not dealing with, like, the main villain here, you know, because the main villain, the main antagonist of JJK right now, at least seemingly, you know, like future Ghetto, and then of course we got Mahito, and then we got everybody else. We got Volcano Dude, whose name I kind of forgot, I'm sorry. But the league of definitely Jujutsu villains, yeah. Now, they didn't really put up a fight against Gojo in season 1, but I do see a pattern, and that pattern is they're just wearing him off. That is literally what Fujiguro Sr. is doing to Gojo right now, right? They are testing him. They're kind of like poking him, like trying to see, like, is there any weaknesses right now in Gojo's current state? And I feel like they're just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it until they find that crack, that needle in the haystack, you know, that I'm scared of that point. Because that can happen. If the past has showed that it can happen, history can repeat itself. It can happen again. Maybe not even to Gojo, maybe even to all of our other main characters, you know, like, it can happen. Now, you could also say that this may feel like a cop-out in terms of, like, character depths, because we as an audience, we know that Gojo's alive. You know, we know for however reason that they're gonna pull it off, Gojo's going to be fine and we're gonna be meeting him again in the present day, right? Whether it be, you know, self-healing, reverse curse technique, or something new entirely, or surprise, it was all fake, and then I don't know, like, anything can go, right? Any reason they can put in here, we can just say, okay, we accept this because obviously Gojo has to be alive. But what happens if it's not Gojo? What happens if it's somebody else? Case in point, in this episode, Rico. Can't say that I am surprised. I'm more so surprised that, oh shit, it's happening right now in this very episode and she's just like dead. You know, like, when it comes to character dev, sometimes you can have like a couple of seconds before they say their final words, you know, but this is like instant, you know. And I do love I think it's perfect for them to use that song just to give us a sense of false security. Though when they started playing the song, in the back of my mind there is like that something's not right here. Why are they playing this happy music? Gojo just died a couple of minutes ago. Why are we all so positive? Something's wrong here. And of course they did it. It's honestly, it's one of my favorite tropes, and that is have really positive upbeat music, or something that is like as I said, uplifting or heroic, if you will, right? This is a heroic, triumphant moment of like, yes, they finally made it to their objective. Yes, they finally reached this point. All they have to do is just go straight in and everything is solved. The end of the story, right? And then as it's all swelling up, suddenly it all cuts. Like the music stops, the sound stops. The only thing that you hear is the gunshot, and then that's it. Like it's the abrupt oh shit moment, and I love every time a show or a movie does that. Like it's almost always effective. I love that JJK did it. And I love how Rico just immediately dies. That's it. She's dead. Like there's no surviving this. She's gone. She's done so. And what about Kuroi? Probably dead. let's be real here. Kuroi is right in the middle of Fujiguro Senior and Riko's like trajectory. Like if Fujiguro Senior went down there, then there is a pretty high chance that he might have, crossed paths with her. But then again, like his objective is technically Riko and not her. So maybe he let her live. Maybe not. Maybe he's like, nah, you're in the way. If Kuroi kind of put up a fight, then he's like, okay, sure, fair enough, fair game. So I'm just going to assume that she's dead as well. It's like, at that point, I'm not really surprised if we reveal later on in the next episode that, oh yeah, she's dead too. I would be like, okay, yeah, makes sense. Now I must say, when it comes to Geto, he has been such an incredible character so far in JJK season 2. Like this is everything that I've been kind of wanting in terms of like his backstory, because as I mentioned before in my thoughts on Geto as a character, I guess early on when I was discussing episode 1 of season 2, Geto as a character is interesting, but I was at the time I was still like failing to grasp like what is your deal, especially in JJK 0, because I wasn't the biggest fan of JJK 0, mostly not because of the story, but mostly like the structure of the film and such. But Geto himself as a character in that film, I honestly thought was lacking a lot in terms of like a movie villain, because the way the film presents him is more of a, here's your typical villain who wants to rule the world, and that's pretty much it. Obviously it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more nuanced and a lot more complicated, but simplifying it, that's basically him. And how did we reach that point is the part that I was interested in the most, because seeing him right now just adds more to the mystery. Now, I've mentioned multiple times already, like, some of the possible reasons in how Geto may change or how he may flip, right? The first one was that he may encounter Fujiguro Senior, and then from this encounter, he may start to think other things. He may start believing other things. And what I mean is, this encounter is going to shake his foundational beliefs somehow, right? Currently, that is being no, it's not being challenged, but it's more so being humiliated, I would say is the one way to put it, because Geto's job currently is just to protect Riko and to let her reach Tengen-sama. He fails miserably to a gun. And as they are going to start their fight, I do think that along the way we're gonna get, we're gonna get moments where Geto's like thinking like, what did I do wrong? Like, why is this happening? Or something along the lines of, again, like I said, their foundational beliefs being challenged. Now that could also be after the fact, as in after the fight is over, and then obviously we need to get Gojo back alive because we need to have that moment where Gojo and Geto are like facing, against each other in the, I guess, in the sidewalk, because we've seen that image like twice now in JJK 0 and in the beginning of season 2. And however we reached that point, and the Geto that we saw in the beginning of season 2 episode 1, right, this Geto that is far more cold and lifeless, I would say. And then of course there's still like the two there's the two girls, the two female characters that we've seen that kind of Geto took in. We still need to figure that out and how that ties in with everything else, right? So a lot of things. We still have a lot of grounds to cover when it comes to Geto's character, but I feel like this specific episode is I guess the start of Geto's downfall, right? The end of this episode, and I guess the start of the next episode, because that's, I would imagine the next episode is going to be a far more Geto-centric episode, right? Because Gojo's out of the picture, at least for the time being. And going back to what I was talking about in regards to like the reverse curse technique, where obviously you can heal yourself up, but I don't think that explains why Geto's alive in season 1 of JJK. Like, that is still the only thing that I am just baffled about Geto's character. We saw him die in JJK 0. Gojo was the one who killed Geto. I am still hung up on that fact. Gojo literally... How is Geto back in season 1? And it feels like it's not even the same character. You know what I mean? I don't know. Season 1 Geto feels a lot more goofier. Sinister, but also goofier. I don't know. Like the Geto that I'm seeing right now is a lot more cold and complicated, if you will. Geto in season 1 is like goofy ass. Though he's still kind of like just standing and just working behind the scenes. And I don't think Geto survives Gojo's like kill in JJK 0 because of reverse curse technique. Because if it's also reverse curse technique, then that's like an overpowered and a bonkers move. Like that is an OP ability and almost a cop-out ability. You know what I mean? Like, if that exists, then people can cheat death. Or at least people nearing death can cheat death, like... I can say that Gojo is probably not dead in this episode, and like he still has like 1% of his like life percentage bar, and that's how he's able to like use an ability or two, or maybe somebody comes in and saves the day, right? Like Shoko perhaps, or somebody. But Geto's like just alone in JJK 0, like nobody's there to help him. Gojo's the only one there, and I'm pretty sure he shot him in the head. So who knows what's going on? What's going on with Geto? Also the scars and everything, like something's not right here. I don't remember if I talked about this during my first episode discussion because it's been so long, but I do have an initial theory in regards to how Geto may have survived. And again, this is before I've seen season 2. Like my theory on this has not changed, but is it possible that Geto comes back from the dead and is not actually Geto? As in, is it possible that a cursed spirit is currently possessing Geto's body, and that is the Geto that we are following in season 1? Like, it's not necessarily this Geto. That, or or we are actually seeing like a similar situation with Yuji and Sukuna, where a cursed spirit kind of lives within Geto and gives him like the ability to to live again. But that's just like my theory so far, because like I don't know any other explanation in regards to like how he survives in the confines of the JJK rules, in the confines of the rules of this world. Theory crafting aside, I do love this episode overall. I think the direction has been on point. 3 episodes in, I feel like they're still consistent in their quality and their production. In, as I said, the direction. I think the cinematography has been really good. I think JJK has still struck a really nice balance between its comedy and its like serious action moments, because there's a lot of comedy in the first half of this episode where Gojo and Riko are just like playing around in the beach, and we still have like that really, that those funny change in art style gags and such. I still feel like they still fit within the context and the specific moments of JJK. Like, there are times for it to be happy and comedic, and it's like that time, and then there's also times where we need to be serious and dramatic, and these two parts are almost never really, they never really mush together, because by then that would give tonal dissonance. So I really appreciate when the show kind of, understands the boundaries on when to be comedic and when not to be comedic. And that's like one of the things that I do love about JJK, even in season 1. And the parts where they do inject some comedy within the action, it makes sense in regards to the characters themselves, like which character is trying to be funny in this moment. Like Todo, if Todo's here, I will have a laugh, you know what I mean? But yeah, really, really loving the direction of season 2 so far. It's been really great. The animation in this episode is spectacular. I don't think I need to express that even more. I mean, my reaction itself was already filled with praise. And yeah, incredible work, incredible display. Brilliant. What an episode and what an ending. Jeez. Damn, we gotta see it from a different perspective.
Riko-chan.
We're doing the Chainsaw Man effect of, let's just recap the previous episode again with new animation, because why not? Curious if that gun is a special gun or if that's just a regular gun and he's just so skilled with it. It's a really sick arena though as well, like this entire underground section with all of the empty buildings and hallways and such in a circular arena, as I said, kind of like a coliseum, the perfect battleground for gladiators, for battle mages. There you go. Oh, look at this. Man. Oh man, this direction and this cinematography.
途中に女性が一人いたはずだ。彼女はどうした？
Yeah, what happened to her?
ああ、あのメイドか。
Oh yeah, I killed her.
多分死んでる。
Probably dead.
やはりお前は死ね。
I really love the animation on the dragon. It looks really good. Oh yeah, great use of CG work there. Woo! Yeah, and the sword can pierce through anything. Oh. Yeah.
あとは物量でゴリ。
Oh my god. Well, look at where they are though.
親に恵まれたな。呪術も使えねえ。
Oh,
俺みたいな
no.
猿に負けたってこと。ああ、恵みって
What was?
俺が名付けたんだった。
Yeah, I heard what you said.
私たちはダメ元で君に暗殺を依頼した。
Expecting that it would fail.
その対象である天元様と汚れの動画。
Great shot.
星とともに落ちるのならばやむなし。
万世教の協力って沖縄の件か？
Fascinating.
メイド救出失敗の緊張より成功の緩みの方が削りとしてでかいと判断した。
And it worked.
散々やってきたことだろう。
Oh man, the cinematography in this second season so far has been phenomenal. I mean,
お前と関わるのはな、仕事か地獄でだけって決めてんだよ。
I'm waiting for like Gojo to appear, you know, just to rain on their parade. Anytime now. We saw that hand move.
よう、久しぶり。
It's been a while. Oh shit.
元気ピンピンだよ。
反転術式。
There we go.
でっかい。お前に喉ぶち抜かれた時、反撃は諦めて反転術式に全神経を注いだ。
During that moment, huh?
言うはやすし。
Dude, listen to the way he's talking though.
ペラペラとハイになってる。
I was about to say.
はい。勝負はこれからだろう。
Oh.
そうかもな。
Oh, I've never seen Gojo this insane before. Like he's always in control.
術式反転。
Red.
赤。
He's about to master it.
化け物が。
The visuals though.
今の衝撃波が無加減呪術。
Hmm?
1、止める力。2、引き寄せる力。そして3、弾く力。すべて問題。
He just said all that just to say, I could handle it. Oh, you see it? Mmm.
ごめん、あまない。
Yeah, those eyes.
誰も憎んじゃいない。
The bird.
今はただただこの世界が心地いい。
Wow. Serenity. Like he's at peace.
天上天下、唯我独尊。あんた全員家の人間だろう。
He figured it out.
だがこれは五条家の中でもごく一部の人間しか知らない。 順天と反転、
shit.
それぞれの無限を衝突させることで生成される
Fucking purple, man.
挙式紫
Fujiguro's not.
俺を否定した全員家呪術界その頂点を
And the Zenin clan that rejected me.
いつもの自分を曲げちまった
Oh! Oh!
自分も他人も尊ぶことないそういう生き方を選んだんだろうが
Megumi and his mom.
最後に言い残すことはあるかねえよ
Nah. What a boss. What a boss. Final moments being a Megumi as well.
2,3 年もしたら俺のガキが全員家に売られる
Oh.
好きにしろ
Oh. And then Gojo's gonna... Wow. Did he die standing?
僕の善意が
Wow, another fantastic episode of JJK. That was... Seems like there's an after credit scene. All right, but going back just a bit, we're not gonna discuss a bit about Tengen here because so the Star Vessel Association, whatever it's called, and Tengen, kind of, I might misunderstood this or not because they were talking about it way too fast and there's a lot of words being thrown in, but are they implying that they're actually working for Tengen and this is all part of the plan? Oh, striking. Hello, Ghetto. Uh-huh.
都内にいくつ万世教の施設があるって話だもんな
Uh-huh.
証拠には会えたんだなああ直してもらった
Good?
すぐるこいつら殺すかいい意味がない
Oh, the way the eyes are just... Oh.
もともと問題のあった団体だ次期解体される
Ghetto going into the red. Sorry, not the... Ghetto in the blue, Gojo in the red. Color symbolism. Is he gonna kill them all?
大事なことだ特に術師にはな
Sinking into the abyss? Yeah. Wow. Wow. So they just one up the previous episode. That's a thing that I just watched. Incredible. Just a tour de force in like animation and it's great. It's great. I don't know what else to say. It's great. The visuals are great. The animation is great. I do love how this episode is mainly action focused. The previous episode does have a lot of action. Don't get me wrong, but you know, the first half was more calm than that. Whereas in this episode, it's like from beginning to end, it's just action, and it just doesn't stop. And I love how it keeps up with the momentum throughout the entire fight. Like in the beginning of the fight, where in the first fight, I would say between Geto and Fujiguro Senior, I will say that as incredible as the animation is, and what I am about to say is going to be a positive, but there is a lot of exposition. I don't think people will not deny that. Like, if you're watching this, it's clear that there is a lot of exposition in terms of like, this is my power, this is what I've done, this is what I just did, I'm explaining what is happening on screen. But as much as I don't love fights being halted due to the exposition, JJK is one of the few examples where it's still going. I think this is how you do exposition, long exposition, I would say, during your fight scene. Because there's plenty of examples, I'm not going to name any anime titles or whatever, but there's plenty of examples where you have this really long fight in an episode, and it's going to be couple of scenes, couple of seconds of the two characters fighting, exchanging blows, and then for the next minute or so, it's just nothing but talking, and there's not much action going on. And when I say not much action, I'm not just saying there's not much fighting. I mean action in the literal sense. Like, they're not doing anything. They're just standing and talking and walking and talking. Like, it genuinely felt like it came to a halt. This episode and JJK in general is kind of like the opposite of that, because remembering back to like how I watched season 1, and probably the reason why I enjoyed season 1 more than I thought I would in the beginning, it's that every time when there is a fight and then they stop the fight to give out the expository dialogue, there's still stuff happening. You are still glued to the screen. In this episode, for example, as Fujiguro Senior is still talking and rambling about like his powers and like what he did and everything, and still asking questions to Geto, we still see them like walking and just using some clever uses of cinematography just to keep it eye-catchy, you know, and still seeing like them also as they are walking and talking. You see Geto as well, just planning out an idea of like, okay, where is he actually? I'm gonna shoot him, you know, and it's making the it's making the exposition dump a buildup of action, because after the long talks, it's back into action, and it is that long buildup of like, oh, who's gonna strike first? Who's gonna do it? And then it eventually happens, and then it fight. Have a bit of a pause, break again, talk about it again, and then fight again. But it's just this really rhythmic dynamic of scenes, and it just makes it all flow better. And I really appreciate that as somebody who has a gripe on this particular anime trope, because multiple times have I seen anime shows where I'm really engaged in a fight, and then they started to talk, and they don't stop talking, and they're not really doing anything with that discussion, with the talks. The worst example would be if they're just retelling what just happened, like somebody swings a sword, and then the character goes, he just swung the sword at me. Incredible. And I'm like, you don't need that. And JJK didn't do any of this. Or at least it's done so in a way that isn't as egregious. I really appreciate that. Like, it's one of JJK's like biggest strength, not just as a show, but also as a shonen adaptation, because that's just like, it's pretty common, right? Nowadays, in terms of like, you know, shonen adaptations and having such moments. But yeah, I'm just letting out my genuine positive like praise for JJK in how it handles these sorts of things. So yeah, I dig it. But beyond that, as we are talking about Geto, there's a couple of things that happen in this episode, particularly still in the beginning of the fight between Geto and Fujiguro Senior, that kind of caught my attention. This moment when Geto is trying to take control of the spirit that Fujiguro Senior has a contract with, and then ultimately he couldn't do it. Like, he can't reach it out. And, you know, thinking about it, this is basically what he was trying to do with Yuta in JJK Zero. Because he wants Rika, right? Wait, that's the name of the, hang on. let me triple check just for a bit. Yeah, it is Rika. Okay. Because we have Rika and then we have Rico, and I'm like, yeah. Geto obviously wanted Rika. That's why he wanted to kill Yuta first, right? Because you have to kill the user before you can take the spirit. I think that's what they're trying to insinuate. And I feel like in this specific instance, when Geto is trying to get that spirit for the first time, this cursed spirit, I feel like this is the first time where Geto actually realizes what he needed to do. Like, oh, I can't take this. Well, shit. And I find that to be cool. At least that's what I think is happening. I could be wrong, but I feel like that is exactly what is happening here. And fast forwarding just a little bit after that, because Fujiguro Sr. obviously completely annihilates Geto, but left him alive, you know. You could say it's almost a mercy killing, because when it comes to like Gojo, he went like full all out in regards to like making sure that Gojo is dead, even though he kind of failed and Gojo is still alive. But when it comes to Geto, it's like just a couple of slashes and then that's it. Like, you're not Gojo. I'm not. You're not. You're not Gojo, so I'm not gonna go full like slasher on you. So, but speaking of blessings, I forgot if they actually talked about this in regards to Megumi's name in season 1, but Megumi is, I guess, Japanese for blessing, or at least Megumi's name means blessing, right? Because Fujiguro Sr. definitely says Megumi when he was talking about this before the subtitles talked about, like, oh, that's what I named my son. And I guess that's also final full official confirmation from the show in regards to like who Fujiguro Sr. is in regards to his relationship with Megumi. I feel like a lot of us can pretty much discern and make the full 100% assumption, and you know, we can immediately just point fingers of like, oh, yeah, that's definitely his dad, right? But it's nice that the show finally gives this confirmation. Still don't know his name though. Still don't know his name. I have not heard of his name yet. So I'm just gonna keep referring to him as Fujiguro Sr., but I don't know how long that's gonna last, because after this, we get the fight. And what a fight it was. Just showing like the aftermath of the fight here, but damn. Jesus. Gojo was not messing around this time, huh? But yeah, that entire fight was incredible. Like the animation on display, once again, like it's just great. It's just beautiful. Like thinking back of like the of the fight scenes in season 1, and then looking at the fight scenes in just these first 4 episodes of JJK season 2, like it does not even compare in my opinion. There's a lot of good fights in JJK season 1. I think they've done they were pretty ambitious in regards to like the camera movements in JJK season 1, and there's a lot of like spaces where they have to move around the camera really, you know, freely, if you will, whether it is underground or in the forest. But here it's like complete total freedom, and it seems like the animation just, you know, got a bit of a bump in quality, though again, as mentioned, I guess, previously in previous episodes, it still kind of sucks to know that, you know, as great as the animation is, and as much as I am drooling over it and I'm like praising it, it's done under terrible working conditions, so, But regardless, I don't think that takes away from the fact that the animators did a fantastic job, though, and I feel like that's what we need to take away from it the most. But yeah, the fight between Fujiguro Sr. and Gojo was beautiful. It was spectacular. Gojo himself, I would say, is the main star of this fight, because he is the sudden return of his being. And as I mentioned before in the previous episode, of course, he used reverse curse technique. But it's this the emotions within Gojo himself during this fight is what caught my attention the most, because you can see it in his eyes. I mean, we can meme about Gojo's eyes multiple times as we want, but when they are showing it, they are showing it. There's plenty of times where Gojo feels a range of emotions, right? First of all, he's really high and you know, having this state of nirvana, this state of, you know, at peace and being able to just breeze through this entire fight with no care in the world. But at the same time, there's also this sense of sadness to him, right? When we were shown that just that beautiful image of just Gojo's eyes, and there's just like this sadness in him as he is remembering about Rico and going, yeah, I'm sorry that I can't really grieve for you at this moment. Like, I'm sorry that there's other emotions that are taking over me at this current moment. And it's this state of his character, is this state of his personality, I would even say, that we just never really saw before, right? Season 1 Gojo was very composed. He has self-control. Even JJK 0, I would say. And he's still showcasing a lot of his like fun, comedic side of, you know, towards his students. But just for this specific fight against Fujiguro Senior, you can say that yes, he is still under control of his powers, but his emotions, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. Having said all that, this does lead to him finally mastering red, and then of course just mashing it all together with blue, and then to create hollow purple. And I'm like, yeah, Fujiguro, rest in peace. That's a done deal. That's the finishing move. You don't survive that. I will be shocked. If Fujiguro Senior comes back. Gojo shot him, destroyed half of his body. Bear in mind though, the left side of the body is where the heart lies. So his heart is gone. Fujiguro Senior was seen just trying to grab onto it, like it's not there. So, but then again, Geto also survives Gojo's like shot. So reverse curse technique. I feel like at this point, reverse curse technique is just gonna be used to like, hey, character dead. Don't worry though, reverse curse technique. We can bring him back from the dead. You know, there's got to be some limitations to that. Like obviously there are limitations, but like if the plot demands it, let's be real here. If we're dealing with the supernatural, sometimes the plot can say, yeah, there are limitations, but we'll make an exception, and the plot will explain the explanation, and then we will go, okay, yeah, fair enough. We'll go with that. So who knows? Who knows? I feel like it's safe to say that Fujiguro Senior, for now, is out of the picture. Who's to say that he can come back from the dead in the future, in the present, maybe as something else, maybe even a curse, who knows? But I think the most shocking part of this entire episode to me, or at least one of the most shocking parts, there's a lot, but one of them is actually the fact that Fujiguro Senior told Gojo about Megumi, about how he is going to be sold to the Zenin clan. Make that of you will. Do whatever you want with that information. And look what happens in the present. Gojo took Megumi in. He becomes a Jujutsu sorcerer. Would you look at that? Isn't fate and destiny just kind of funny in a way? But I love that. I love how in his final dying moments, in quotations, in his final dying moments, Fujiguro Senior thinks about Megumi. A blessing. The only family that he has left. And I think it's more so to do of the fact that Megumi is going to be sold to the Zenin clan of all clans. You know, like it's pretty clear that Fujiguro Senior right now has an intense hatred towards the Zenin clan. I mean, going as far as to, you know, like, oh, I'm not a Zenin anymore. I took my wife's name. I'm a Fujiguro now, okay? The fact that he changed his name from a Zenin to a Fujiguro, his family name, right? I feel like that's mostly the reason, and not because that you know, not because that he truly love his son, because we know that he doesn't fully love his son. I shouldn't say truly, I should have said fully, because there is a part of him that kind of neglects him, that kind of like, oh yeah, I don't remember his name. What was his name again? Blessing? Oh, Megumi, right? But again, it's more so due to the fact that, yeah, Megumi is going to be sold to the Zenin clan. I don't want my son to go to the Zenin clan. Gojo, make that if you will. Wink, wink. You know. so you can kind of respect that. You know, like Fujiguro Senior so far has been an incredible character for this entire arc of JJK, and I'm kind of sad to see him go. For now, again, for now, you'll never know. You'll never know. I feel like again, like I feel like I'm gonna be talking about this again, but like JJK, the moment it introduces the ability to potentially save people from dying, makes dying less worrisome to me. Well, I would say, well, not worrisome, but trying to find a better word for it, but less yeah, worrisome. I was about to say tenseful, but nah, people dying will always be tenseful, but it's more so that, okay, after they die, what's gonna happen next to them, right? Because there is still the possibility of them being saved, but obviously there's limitations to that, like how can they be saved? So there is still that going on. So that's like the thing that I am kind of worried in regards to JJK, because I am worried that in the future, whatever the hell the Shibuya arc is, because people won't shut the fuck up about it, but whatever the hell that is going to happen in that arc, and whatever tragedy that may befell upon our characters, I'm fearing that there's going to be maybe some characters or moments, I would say. I'm kind of afraid that there will be moments where it's not going to be as impactful as it should have been, because I'm going to be thinking about like, oh, we can save them, you know? So that's like the one thing that I'm worried about. So it depends, right? It depends on like the application, and it depends on like the character, and it also depends on how these characters are getting obliterated. Because if Gojo of all people, after getting stabbed in the head and the throat and the body and his limbs and all of the everything, and still manages to come back alive, though then again he is Gojo, it's it cheapens it a little bit. But who's to say, right? Like, if they suddenly kill Shoko, for example, like the only other character that I know of that can use this technique on other people, then I'll say, okay, now we have a problem, because now we just lost our healer. So, but that's still a ways off. That's still like a couple of episodes away. Like, we're not going to be worrying about them. What we are going to be worrying about is the final scene of this episode, where Gojo just straight up suggests, hey, what if we kill people? what if we kill these cultists, Getso? What if we go against the law and our Jujutsu code of not being able to harm civilians and such? Like, what if we just say fuck that, and we just, kill all of them? Because right now I don't feel any remorse. I don't feel anything at all. I want to kill people. And having Geto be the one to say, no, we can't do that. And yet the symbology, the symbolism of Geto being in the blue and then Gojo being in the red, a role reversal, because before this specific shot, Geto was the one in the blue and Gojo was the one in the red, and also the significance of what blue and red represents in regards to JJK. If anything, this specific moment is the point where Gojo and Geto's character flips and changes. Because in the beginning of this arc, in the beginning of season 2, Gojo was the one who is in a way more radical, and Geto was the one who's more in line with the rules and what Jujutsu sorcerers stand for, right? And then if you look at the present, it's like the complete opposite. It's the other way around. Geto is the one who is trying to destroy the Jujutsu, I would say the Jujutsu old order, right? And to enact a new order. Whereas Gojo is the one who's trying to maintain the old order and to keep it alive and to sustain it and to defend it. Gojo, in the beginning, was the one who is going all out and having his own wacky ideas. Geto was the one who was like, no, we need to stick with the order. We need to stick with the plan. And now in the present, Geto's the one who's going loose. And Gojo's the one who's like staying behind. The next episode is going to be exciting, isn't it? I feel like because this episode we didn't fully dive into Geto's like descent into the Geto that we know today, into his villain arc, I guess, the way I should describe it. But it is planting the seeds, right? Riko's death, seeing the cultists just, clapping and like, yeah, little girl just died. Woohoo! And just seeing the most vilest of human nature possible and thinking to yourself that our rules, our foundations, the very moral principle that I have learned and I have grown accustomed to is preventing me from killing what is in front of me I consider to be pure evil. Something's wrong with the system here. Something's not right here. And I am here to change that, and that is exactly what Geto tried to do. Can't wait. Can't wait for the next episode, because the next episode, if it doesn't... You know what? Here's what I will say. I don't mind if for the next couple of more episodes, I don't mind if we're still going to be sticking with the past. Because I don't know how long this arc is going to go. This entire arc may stretch for like the first 12 episodes, and if that's the case, I am down. Give me more Geto and Gojo characterization. Give me more of their dynamic and their downfall and their just strain of relationship, like breaking apart, because it is so fascinating to see both of these characters and their journey from like the moment we saw them to where they are right now. Interesting. Man, JJK has been really, really good so far. It's been really good. Season 2 has been, I would say, a lot more gripping than Season 1. I really enjoyed this. Oh, we got a time skip. Oh, look at Geto's face here. Bags under his eyes. Nice use of reflection. Oh, beautiful animation here. Okay, they're flexing. They're flexing. Okay, we get it. Gojo has become overpowered. The separation. I wonder this is where premature death. Wonder if
払う取り込む
yeah. As I was about to say, same words from the first episode.
誰のために
Who am I doing this for? Why indeed?
あの日から
Oh,
自分に言い聞かせている周知の醜悪知った上で
the ugliness of the masses. It's maddening, isn't it? Oh. Oh. Oh yeah, we're getting into the inner psyche of his. Oh, and the sound of the clapping. Love that transition from oh. Beautiful direction here. Beautiful. Beautiful direction.
結構遠出なんですよそうかお土産頼むよ
Oh, you see his eyes. It just gets worse and worse. We saw Haibara with Nanami before, right?
君がゲトウ君どんな女がタイプかな
Oh shit! We only saw her like once in the first season, right? During the flashback.
どちら様
特級術師つくもゆき
Yuki Tsukumo.
あなたがあの
Ah.
いいねどの
Oh, flattery.
くせに任務を全く受けず海外をプラプラしてる
the change in art style too.
ここの人たちがやってるのは対症療法私は原因療法がしたいの
原因療法
Interesting way to put it.
呪霊の生まれない世界を作ろうよってこと
Oh.
全員当時
Finally got his name. Love that in the back.
それだけじゃない
Toji Zenin.
術師からは呪霊は生まれないんだよもちろん術師本人が死後呪いに転ずるのを除いてね
Right, right.
非術師を皆殺しにすればいいじゃないですか
And there's the third option.
それはありだ
いや
というか多分
Oh, you hear that clapping again? Why is this? This is giving me Oppenheimer vibes. You know? Oppenheimer listening to the feet stomps. It's literally what is happening to Geto right now.
私はそこまで行かれてない
Oh, and then the rain coming in.
ゲトウ君
So the sound mixes. Ah!
術師を見下す自分それを否定する自分
どちらも本音じゃないよ
Oh, beautiful transition with the audio.
これからは特級同士3人仲良くしよう
I wonder after this is where she meets a Toto.
タイプ聞いてね
任務はサトルが引き継いだ
There it is.
マラソンゲーム
Oh.
これは何ですか
Oh! There they are. The two girls. Oh.
一旦外に出ましょうか
Huh.
結婚と残影からおそらく両親も手にか
なわけねえだろ
悟る俺も何が何だかわからんのだ
Some great character acting there for Gojo.
術師だけの世界を作るんだ
意味わかんねえ
子供じゃないんだ誰でも彼でも理解してほしいとは思わないさ
He's here.
あ、五条ゲトウいたよそう、新宿やだよ、殺されたくないもん
And this is where they finally meet. That iconic shot of the two of them on the streets.
だから術師以外殺すってか親も親だけ特別というわけには意味ない殺しはしねえんじゃなかったのか
But there is a point now.
意義もね
Yeah.
傲慢だなあ
You'll love this.
できるだろうサトル人には できやしないと言い聞かせるの。
Oh, love how they're getting closer and closer.
君は五条悟だから最強なのか、最強だから五条悟なのか。
Oh. Nice question. You couldn't do it, Gojo. You couldn't do it.
殺したければ殺せ。それには意味がある。
He'll get to do it in Zero. He'll get to do it in the movie.
名前も改め、皆さんは今後私に従ってください。
Many objected.
園田さん、よろしければ壇上へ。
Make an example.
さて、改めて、猿は嫌い。
So many great character acting in this episode.
何その顔。
こっちの
Oh,
話。
great shot.
自分の力にも気づいてるんじゃない？全員家は才能大好き。
Do what you will with this information, Gojo, and then he does exactly this. As expected, but love to see it.
もう俺たちは用済みで、二人でよろしくやってるってことだろ。
君、本当に小一？オッケー。あとは任せなさい。
Leave the rest to me.
強くなってよ。僕に置いていかれないくらい。
Oh, fast forward to the future.
五条先生、先生も寝るんだな。
当たり前でしょ。何言ってんのあんた。
五条先生。
Here's our crew. So was all of that just his dream then? Remembering the past?
何笑ってんすか。
別に。
Wow. So I guess that means that we're finally getting back into the present then. Since we can already transition from... Yeah. That was an all-timer episode in my opinion. Like, in all of JJK, I think this is one of the best episodes ever directed, ever produced, ever put to screen in this entire series thus far. There's a lot of really great episodes, mostly action-centric. I mean, there's a reason why those would become like fan favorites, especially if you look back at like season 1, there's a lot of those. But in terms of like overall mood, theme, cinematic presentation, I think this is one of my favorite episodes. If not maybe my favorite episode so far. It's so well done. I cannot stress this enough again. The direction in this episode was stellar. I love a lot of the little details that they add in, you know, like the sound design, some of the edits, some of the cuts, some of the shot compositions, some of the meanings behind those shot compositions. Everything has complexity and subtlety. Well, there are things that I would consider subtle, and there are things where I consider absolutely not subtle at all, but it all makes for a fantastic experience in my book. Though, having said all that, I do think that, just like with any other episode of JJK, and a lot of other shows as well, I think this episode, there's a lot of information. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of information that the show just immediately shoots through the audience. Like, there's a lot of exposition, there's a lot of like explanation as well. Nothing that a second rewatch of the episode will surely explain, or not a second rewatch that could make it a lot more understandable, but nonetheless, for a first time viewing, there's a couple of things where I feel like, are some of these necessary or not? But that is of course just a minor nitpick. All I'm trying to say is that some of these could have been more condensed and could have been told differently, but then again, this is anime. It's not like this is the first time that I'm seeing this. Many other shows, some even my absolute favorites, also does this. It's just how it is. So I'm just gonna put that aside and not really it doesn't bother me as much as, let's say, some other explanations, because of the fact that this show manages to make these scenes, these moments of exposition so well thought out in terms of like visual presentation, visual storytelling as well, because it's one thing to just give the audience an info dump, but it's another thing to give the audience an info dump while also pleasing them with other creative choices in the overall scene. Like there's info dumps where it's just two characters talking and it's just a reverse shot sequence and it doesn't really scream unique or fancy or whatever, and then it becomes boring. Here, there's a lot of info dumps, but it doesn't seem boring. There's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's some excellent cues in its shots, in its audio, in its music, which all the more made me really appreciate the directing of this overall episode as well. Because again, like it's the mastery of having some of these personal, subjective personal grievances, but to make me go, yeah, I don't really care about some of these because the overall presentation is great, and that is worthy of admiration. And I'm not just talking about this episode, by the way. I'm talking about like I would say most of this current arc, like from episodes 1 to 5 of JJK season 2. There's always going to be certain scenes where I do feel like there's heavy info dumps, but as I mentioned again, like they're handled pretty well, in my opinion. Now, this episode, of course, we focus almost entirely with Suguru Geto, and this is the episode where we finally see all of those pieces come together and then we see him turn. And I think after watching like the previous 4 episodes leading up to this episode and then seeing like some of the inner conflict within him that is growing again and again and again, even now, 1 year later, it's becoming very much clear why Geto became the Geto that we know in JJK 0, not the Geto that we know in season 1. I'll talk about that in a bit. But I think if you have listened to all of my previous episode discussions in regards to Geto and my thoughts on JJK 0, I think you know where I'm gonna go with this upcoming discussion. But keeping in the timeline that we are currently in the past, I do love that we finally get to go back to the very beginning of episode 1 of season 2, where we do see Geto exercising the curse in the back alley. I mean, you see a bit of that shot in this episode. You even get the same line of dialogue that Geto said, that monologue that he had to himself in the first episode, talking about like how it feels to eat and absorb these curses and how it tastes. And I do love how you can definitely see how tired Geto is. And he gets more and more tired throughout this entire episode. You see it in his eyes, like his eye bags just get bigger and more pronounced, if you will. Like it becomes more clearer, or I guess in a way more darker. And you absolutely feel like how tired he is. You absolutely feel how stressed and how much he does not like doing this anymore, but he has to do it. He keeps doing it because by the rules, this is your job, right? And it's this psychological damage that is right now eating up a lot of Geto's mind. This job that is, in a way, killing himself from the inside, coupled with the traumatic audio visual of the clapping of those people, which I've praised it during the reaction, I'll praise it again in this discussion. Incredible decision to mix in and to repurpose the sound of the clapping to mimic the sound of either water dropping or the rain hitting the window later on in the episode. Like, that is genius. That's great. I talked about it in the reaction as well on how this kind of reminds me of Oppenheimer. If you ever saw, if you've seen the movie, you know what part I'm talking about. But not here to compare between like Oppenheimer and Geto in terms of like characterization, because I do feel like they are kind of different in their own respective ways. But it's I'm more so comparing about like the technical side of things and how they are utilizing this past event and incorporating it into the present, and how it is haunting them, because it is haunting hearing those claps again and again and again for a year now at this point, because it's been a year, right? It's a 1 year time skip, and just to keep that visual and that sound still in your mind, still banging in your head, like how it is fucked up. Because that is ultimately the event that kind of ticks Geto off in terms of like his view and his perspective on life, on jujutsu sorcerers and non-sorcerers, right? How could people so evil exist, and how are we, the people who brings justice in a way, why can't we bring that justice? Why can't we eliminate those evil? Why are we instead protecting those evil? Because it is in our code to not use our powers against non-sorcerers. Why is this a thing? This is corrupt. This is wrong. And you absolutely understand why Geto feels this way. Are Geto's actions wrong? Morally speaking, yes, he is wrong. Killing people is 100% wrong, but it's the matter of, well, do some people deserve to be killed? Then that becomes an entirely different subject of discussion now, is it? Because I think it's one thing to want to kill those cult leaders, those star plasma, whatever they're called, like I think it's fair to say like, yeah, those people don't deserve to live because what they've done, at least for us, the audience as well, pretty evil. But there are other people who I think are kind of innocent. That's the hard part, isn't it? There's always something evil in all of us. And I feel like the problem with Geto is he doesn't see all of the good, he sees all of the bad now. Like, that is the thing that is kind of clouding Geto's vision here. Like, a rational person would probably try to see things from another perspective. Like, and I hate to say this, there is reason behind the evil. And that is exactly what Geto is doing. That is exactly who Geto would later become, right? There is a reason behind his own evil. What Geto is doing in our eyes right now is evil. He wants to wipe out what? All of humanity? All of the non-sorcerers? Is that evil? Is that bad? Yes, absolutely, 100%. But there is meaning behind it. There is reason behind it. And Geto's reason, in his perspective, is good. Wipe away non-sorcerers and curses would cease to exist. That is a good cause, right? The method is entirely wrong, though. But that's what makes him such a complex character. And I am enjoying this. This is exactly what I have been asking for ever since I saw JJK 0 and since I started season 2. I want Geto's character to be studied upon and be broken apart, be dismantled, and we look at the puzzle and then we try to figure it out. We try to deconstruct him again as a character to fully see and understand why he becomes this way. And I am pretty satisfied. I am really satisfied, actually. This final episode of, I guess, this arc, I'm assuming the next episode we will cut back to like the present, because we just cut back to the present. That's my only reasoning. But yeah, beautifully done, fantastically written. Going to talk a little bit about Haibara, because he doesn't really, there's not much screen time for him. We saw him once with Nanami, like an episode or two ago in that flashback when they were arriving on the train. But yeah, not much to say about Haibara except that he eventually dies. We saw that in this episode, but Haibara does represent the youth, right? Looking at Haibara and seeing like his character design and like how he looks compared to, let's say, Geto here on the side, well, it's clear that Haibara is a lot younger compared to Geto, right? If I recall, what is he, like a first year or a second year? I don't know, but definitely young. He's definitely super young, right, compared to Geto. So Geto asking Haibara like, hey, do you think you could still handle being a JJK sorcerer? And did I say JJK sorcerer? I mean Jujutsu sorcerer. And Haibara having this uplifting response of like, yeah, sure, I could do it, I could handle it, and then only to die later on. Yeah, heartbreaking, and also fuels get one of the things that fuels Ghetto's inevitable change in personality. Because it's like, again, it's the fact that not only are we putting ourselves in the most ridiculous position yet of being a Jujutsu sorcerer, but not being able to kill some of the non-Jujutsu, non-sorcerers who may be evil, and we're just protecting them. But also the fact that we are enlisting a lot of young people here. Like, a lot of young people. I mean, you go back to season 1 and then you see, like, Nobara, Itadori, and Megumi, like, these are high schoolers, you know, like, do they deserve to be in this death-defying position and situation, let alone be in a role that, according to Geto, is entirely broken and corrupt because they're also not allowed to enact full justice, if you will. It's only part justice, as I would say, because we're only enacting justice upon the ones that we're only doing it to cursed users, to cursed objects, and not necessarily the non-sorcerers, who may also be evil, you know? So to see him die, to see Haibara die, and then Geto would later look at it and go, well, his blood is on my hands. Literally, though. Like, the imagery is literally, yeah, his blood is on your hands. He feels that guilt, in my opinion. I feel like he absolutely feels the fact that he could have saved Haibara. He could have, if he had pushed on and pressed even further towards Haibara to give up the Jujutsu life, then Haibara may live. Because nobody's gonna tell Haibara no, right? Everybody's probably still gonna be pushing Haibara, right? Except for Geto. Geto's the one Geto's awake. Basically, Geto's awake now. He understands. He knows the underlying problem. Everybody else is kind of ignoring it, so obviously nobody's gonna tell Haibara no. Geto's the only one who is telling Haibara no. You have a choice. And so here we are in this dreadfully terrible situation. Also love this part when Haibara did say that I am a great judge of character, and then Geto immediately says, really? Really? You say that while sitting next to me? Because Geto deep down knows that he is not a good person. Like, he's not a good person anymore. Like, he knows that he is changing. He knows that his faith is wavering now in terms of, like, believing in the Jujutsu rules or whatever you want to call it, you know? Good stuff. Also really nice that we finally get to meet Yuki Tsukumo again, I would say. You know, like, her design, unmissable. That flashback with Todo back in season 1 where he just randomly meets this character that we have no idea, like, who the fuck? And then she just immediately goes, what's your type? What's your type? What kind of girl you like? Like, that just leaves an impression, and I just love that we finally get to meet her again. And we have more conversation with her, and we kind of get an idea and a bit of an understanding of, like, her own perspective about her own mentality about, like, sorcerers and the rest of the world. So really glad that we finally get to meet her again. And of course, we finally got a name. I've been calling him Fujiguro Sr. for the entire time. Now I finally got a name. Toji Zenin. Or I guess it's Toji Fujiguro now. So, I guess it's interesting that she is referring to him as Toji Zenin. Though I guess that also means that Toji's name change into Fujiguro is something that not a lot of people know, right? Even in the first episode when Toji was talking with the other person who is, like, hiring him, right, for the job, he refers to Toji as Zenin before Toji corrects him and say, no, I'm a Fujiguro now. So there is that. Though I love in this overall conversation when Yuki was describing Toji and, like, how he got his powers and why he is this way. I love how all of that talk eventually gets simplified to saying, yeah, he's kind of a superhuman and he's kind of overpowered. That's basically it. Like, you can spout out like an entire paragraph, an entire essay in how Toji becomes Toji, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, yeah, he's kind of a superhuman. I think what I also love about this conversation between Yuki and Geto is this is a pretty good example in how an idea, a simple idea, an idea that in many aspects I would consider harmless to a degree because it is an idea, gets twisted and repurposed and ultimately radicalized to the extreme into something far more dangerous. Because the original idea that Yuki proposes is that how can we make everyone, all of humanity, control all of their curse energy, right? And then the conversation goes, and then ultimately Geto has a light bulb appear atop his head and go, wait a minute, Jujutsu sorcerers, or I guess sorcerers in general, could control curse energy. We're humans, so put 2 and 2 together, if we're the only ones who are alive and then everybody's dead, and technically we achieved the goal of all of humanity, well, all of remaining humanity, being able to control their curses, right? And that was it. Now, obviously, during this point in time, these are all just conversations. These are all just ideas being thrown around between two characters having an ideal chat, right? It's not like Yuki is taking Geto's words as seriously, because in a lot of people's mind, if you think that way and you pursue it, then you're evil. That's basically it. You're a pretty bad dude, right? And in a lot of people's eyes, there's no way Geto could do such a thing, right? That's kind of like the reason why Gojo was surprised to get the message on like what Geto did. It's the reason why the principal was even, I don't even understand what is going on. It's also the reason why Shoko is kind of nonchalant when she eventually meets Geto later on in the episode, like, oh yeah, look who it is, it's the criminal. Like, they're all still in disbelief, like, how is this possible? They just cannot accept the fact that Geto has done any of this. Shoko herself even goes, what are the chances of those reports being false? Like, what are the chances of those being wrong? You know, like, she is still giving Geto the benefit of the doubt in that moment. Like, she is, again, nonchalant about all of it. And before I go any further on that conversation, do want to add that after that scene of Yuki and Geto discussing, like how to deal with cursed energy of the world, the fact that Yuki ends their conversation as she leaves by going, oh yeah, there's a new star plasma vessel that got eaten by Tengen, so like, that's all good, it's all Gucci, like, don't worry about all of it. Which, what? In Geto's mind, it's gonna be like, well, what the fuck? What did I do? What's the point? Why did Rico had to suffer through all of that? If there's gonna be a new, like, her death was like all for naught. You know what I mean? Like, it is the cruel and unjust way of life. Also, I said this during the reaction, but I don't know like the exact timing of this, like the time frame and how old Toto was. But I think after Yuki left this place, because she is riding on a motorcycle and riding, using that attire, I think this is the same attire and the same getup that she had when she meets Toto later on, right? So I think after this, she's gonna go out and maybe meet Toto and ask him the same question. I don't know, maybe I think this is going to be like the scene that precedes that moment back in season 1. It would be awesome if it is, though. And then of course we finally meet the two girls. We kind of saw them before. I think my first ever discovery of them was in JJK 0. We saw a little bit of them in like the beginning of episode 1 during that intro where Geto is just walking with the two of them. Now we finally do see them and we see why they are with Geto, and oh boy, I feel like fate is just really tempting Geto at this point, because it's like Geto is being presented with like the absolute worst case scenarios possible. Like, everything that Geto is thinking about, the extreme thoughts in his mind of like, this world is unjust and cruel, like everything is bad, like what I'm doing is wrong, like all of that is just getting more and more proven in his exploits, in his journey, in his missions, because what do you do at this point? You are being presented, you look at these two girls who are, in your eyes, innocent. These are really young children who are being treated poorly, and the people of the village are basically pointing fingers at them, telling they're demons, they're bad, they're terrible, you need to kill them and whatever and such. Like, what do you do at that point? The other problem here is that Gojo is not here with Geto. Like, Geto and Gojo has been separated and they've been working on their own missions. Because if Geto is with another person, it doesn't even have to be Gojo. It could be somebody else. Somebody who is in a far more rational mindset, unlike Geto, who is in a more extreme mindset of like, I am on the verge of just snapping and eliminating and killing everybody here because of what they are doing. Like, if there is somebody else who can bring Geto down and go, hey, Geto, snap out of it for a bit, let's think rationally here, like, what is the best way to handle this? Could there be another way? Like, let's talk about this, because that is exactly what is happening, that has happened with Rico in the past, right? They were given the task to basically protect this girl who will be eliminated, who will be sacrificed at the end of the day regardless, right? And Gojo and Geto, there is that back and forth of going, should we do it? Should we not? Right? But now there's nobody here. There's nobody to stop Geto. Geto is a loose cannon, and nobody's there to control it, and nobody's there to put out the flame. Geto shoots, and, well, the whole village burns. There you go. And I mentioned this before in the episode reaction, but I love the character acting in this episode. Season 2 of JJK so far, at least in these first 5 episodes, had incredible character acting, character animation, the expression, and some of the minuscule movement in their body language is just chef's kiss. I love it. It conveys so much more emotion than just having a normal, still, stiff face and just having the characters voice out their frustrations. It's another thing to see that frustration and present it in a smooth and well-drawn manner. It's just, I gotta appreciate that. It's so well done. I cannot stress this enough. I think JJK Season 2, at least for this specific arc, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future. They may, like, again, in terms of like direction and in terms of like visual presentation, but these first 5 episodes, this specific arc, Hidden Inventory, has provided me some of the best directed sequences, some of the best directed character animation, some of the best directed episodes overall that I have seen in quite some time. I think the last time I was this impressed, especially for a shonen show, specifically, that is, I think the last time that I was impressed by this was actually Chainsaw Man Season 1, because Chainsaw Man Season 1 had a lot of these moments where, there are just a lot of subtle moments, there's a lot of little bits of character acting here and there, and there's also some really good use of camera placement, some fantastic cinematography and shot compositions and everything. It feels cinematic in a way, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and I don't understand why, but I think JJK Season 2 kind of is a little bit better. It's a little bit better. I have to admit, I think the direction in Season 2 of JJK so far has been a lot better. And that's saying something, because I'm comparing 5 episodes to 12 episodes of Season 1 of Chainsaw Man. Not to say that Chainsaw Man is bad. No, I love Chainsaw Man. It's great, but I'm just at awe at how much they are able to showcase this specific arc in general. Like, it's just been a stunning visual tour de force. Great. I love it. It's fantastic. It's great. My animation loving head is just This part is great. First of all, I love the direction in this scene. I love how as each of the cars go back and forth, we just cut back and forth between Geto and Gojo, and we zoom in more and more of the camera as the scene intensifies, as the dialogue ramps it all up. Like, you get closer and closer to the characters. It almost feels claustrophobic to an extent, but the overall not just the mood, but it's also like the purpose of the scene, because Geto here is giving Gojo the chance, right? He is giving him the choice of, you can not kill me, you can keep me alive, you can let me go, you can let me live, and I will do whatever I want. I will still continue my own goals and ambitions of eliminating sorcerers. Eliminating non-sorcerers, and make sure that everybody else who remains can still control their curses, so that curse energy is so that real curses will no longer exist in the world, and we all live happy dandy, happily ever after. Or you can kill me right now, defy the Jujutsu rules, the Jujutsu laws. Though technically, no, wait a minute, no, it is not defying the rules, because Getzo is not a non-sorcerer, so Gojo has every right to kill him right now. I mean, duh, they gave the orders to kill Getzo, right? But this is a challenge of morality. Are you willing to kill your own friend? Somebody that you've known for years now, and Gojo let him live. Gojo could not kill him. I think those lines that Geto said to Gojo, like, are you, something along the lines of, are you Gojo Satoru because you're strong, or are you strong because you're Gojo Satoru, or something along the lines of like of that. Beautiful, because this specific moment, this specific scene also shows that Gojo is still weak to a degree. He is weak in his heart. He still cares for Geto in this moment. Like, he couldn't. He wanted to. He almost wanted to, but he couldn't. Same thing happened when Gojo saved Riko, right? He could kill those cultists. He could have killed all of those people who are clapping, but he couldn't. And he does the same thing here again, which makes Gojo's scene in the future in JJK 0 all the more powerful, because years later, Gojo definitely has improved himself. He has become, well, stronger, even more so than before, than now, right? And finally being able to land a killing blow. And here comes that discussion that I wanted to talk about. Again, if you have seen or heard my previous episode discussions from Season 2, you don't really need to hear this, but I'll say it again. Gojo quote-unquote killed Geto in JJK 0, and yet Geto is back and alive in Season 1. Having said all that, the Geto that we saw in Season 1 in no way resembles the same Geto that we saw in JJK Season 2, nor in JJK 0. It's almost as if it is a completely different character. Why is that? There are many clues in my eyes, in my opinions, most notably the scars and the wounds and some of the stitchings in Geto's head that we saw in Season 1, which is definitely not present in Season 2 nor in 0. So my current leading theory that I still have ever since I discussed Season 2 and ever since I watched the movie is that I think it's highly possible that Suguru Geto in certain aspects is similar to Yuji Itadori in the sense that there is a curse living symbiotically inside of Geto. Like, Geto could be possessed right now. Like, the Geto that we saw in Season 1 may not necessarily be Geto at all. It's the same body as Geto, but not necessarily Geto himself who is talking. Like, it could actually be, as I say, a certain curse. A certain curse or whatever. Like, because his personality is just so different from Season 1. Like, Season 1 Geto is sometimes kind of goofy, and other times, not at all as serious as we saw him now. It does feel rather odd now, does it? When a character who is very, very serious in his goals and his ambitions in Season 2, in this early stage of Season 2 and in 0, to have a rather different tone in Season 1. So there's some there's some sorcery here. There's happening. there's some magic shit happening here, and it's not. It's the only explanation that I could think of, because Gojo 100% killed Geto. You know what I mean? Like, he 100% kills Geto, and yet Geto is back. So the Geto that we saw in season 1 is not the same Geto that we are seeing here. Similar in goals and ambitions, but not necessarily the same person. Now, I wasn't able to talk about it during the reaction, but this is the same place where Gojo and Gojo and Toji had their fight. This is, of course, like the base of operations of the Star, whatever religious group that they have, and their names. Ironic that Geto is the one who eventually comes in and takes over. Curious to know if this is the exact same place as well that we saw in JJK 0. I don't have the movie with me, and I am too lazy to look it up currently, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same place that we saw Geto for the first time in JJK 0. And I love how we wrap this entire arc with Gojo finding Megumi, basically, you know, keeping his, not really keeping his words, but more so taking Toji's words to heart. You know, like, I have a son. Later on, he's gonna get sold off to the Zenin clan. Do what you will with that information. And Gojo obviously does what he can. I love that we do get to see this. Love that we get a bit of Megumi's backstory again. We saw a little bit of Megumi's backstory in season 1, so I love that we are actually seeing it, not as a flashback, but as like an actual thing that is happening here. Like seeing his childhood friend and everything again. Really sweet. Really enjoyed this. And then actually ending it with the present and seeing Megumi, Yuji, and Nobara again. Like, sweet. Excellent. I love it. We finally come back to the present. Gojo was reminiscing about the good old days. Is it really called the good old days at this point? The nightmarish old days. But yeah, really sweet. I really enjoyed this episode. This was fantastic. This was great. This was a fantastic opening segment to all of season 2. I think this sets the bar really high, and I cannot wait to see where season 2 goes from here. Especially hearing manga readers saying nonstop about, like, yo, the Shibuya incident. I've been hearing that shit for like 2 years now. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't know what the hell is happening in the Shibuya, but in Shibuya, but there's an incident, and yeah. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's been fantastic. JJK Season 2 has been really, really good so far. Way better than Season 1, in my opinion, so far. But yeah, it's been going great. It's been going fantastically, and I cannot wait to see more. Thank you all so much, and I will see you all next time for the next episode of JJK. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. Peace.